You're watching the news on Magic Breaks now. I'm Amita Balachandra. Let's take a look at the top headlines. The Urban Development Ministry notifies the rules for the real estate regulator, but states drag their feet. Of 29 states, only 4 have notified rules for this key bill that will protect home buyer rights. Buyers in key property markets like Mumbai, Pune and Gurgaon are still out in the cold. Alarmingly high levels of pollution after Diwali shook up the citizens and authorities alike. Magic Bricks now asks, is ban on firecrackers the need of the hour? And in a shocking incident, 28-year-old gang raped in Mumbai on Monday night. 7 people arrested so far. Straight up to our top story, the Festival of Lights has left in its wake cities shrouded in smog. A day after Diwali, Delhi's air quality plunged to a new low. PM10 levels in the air were over 8 times the permissible limits at 836.1, while levels of PM2.5 were 10 times over safe limits at 624.2, according to data from SAFA on Monday afternoon. Now, Tuesday was no better, with air quality still hovering in the serious zone. The situation in Mumbai was a tad better, but air quality in Maximum City as well plunged to very poor levels on Monday and stayed in that zone on Tuesday as well. High saturation of PM levels of particulate matter in the air caused visibility problems and health hazards like respiratory distress. Especially at risk are children, senior citizens and people who have a prior history of respiratory ailments. Now, this, of course, turned out to be life-threatening pollution fest for most of the cities in India. Country is choked with alarmingly high levels of pollution on the day after Diwali. Now, Aishwarya Paliwal joins us with more details. Aishwarya, give us a round-the-clock update of how bad air pollution is this time of the year.
You know, the shops that are selling firecrackers like the one behind me are actually bearing the brunt of the backlash that we are seeing against the use of firecrackers. As we are speaking currently, dealers across Mumbai are having a meeting where they are discussing a recent order that was given by High Court, which is banning shops from selling firecrackers in complexes where there are houses. Now, this order that High Court has given will impact close to 70 dealers in Mumbai. Also, this meeting will look at various aspects of other PILs that have been filed in Bombay High Court against shops selling firecrackers. Also, they'll talk of a public backlash on the sale and use of firecrackers across the country, specifically in Mumbai. Now, voices advocating a complete ban of crackers is slowly gaining momentum, especially after we saw, a day after Diwali, we saw Delhi recording high levels of air pollution. AQI, which is Air Quality Index, was hovering close to 500, which means that the air that citizens of Mumbai, the citizens of Delhi were breathing was extremely hazardous for them. When we talk about Mumbai, it was just a tad better than Delhi. It was hovering close to 340. Still, it was in the very poor place. That means that if people in both these cities are breathing the air, it is extremely difficult for them to breathe, and also this air is extremely bad for their health. Bangalore and Pune, the AQI was hovering between 100 to 200, which was in the moderate levels.
Well, Aishwarya, they're telling us that Delhi was the worst affected. Thank you so much for joining us with those details. Joining us on the phone line is Anumita Roy Chaudhary. Thank you so much for joining us here on Magic Bricks. Now, first of all, tell us, we know that air quality in Delhi was very poor when compared to other cities. Was it particularly bad this year?
Absolutely. And now that we have the official data with us from Central Pollution Control Board and DPCC, we know now for sure that the levels this year has been worse than last year, the last Diwali. And also the levels went up several times higher than the standards. And more worrying part is that just not the particulate pollution, along with that several gases had also gone up very high, which is really a toxic cocktail that we were breathing on Diwali night. And we knew that this was going to happen. The meteorological department had already said that the wind is going to drop and that the supper had predicted that the levels will hit severe level, and it happened. And what worries us that despite the forecast, we were so unprepared to deal with the situation. And now we know for sure that what it does to health, especially in a city like Delhi, where we know that lungs of every third child is already impaired. And a lot of people who try to wish it away by saying that Diwali is only a matter of a night. But please understand that the quantum of crackers that we burst, that put out in the atmosphere, huge amount of chemicals and heavy metals that settle around us and come back to us through our food chain. And they're dangerous, deadly chemicals that are so dangerous that they cause lung cancer, hormonal imbalances, and a whole range of other diseases. So we really now need to deepen public understanding that this is not acceptable. And public health in other parts of the world does not permit and use of such huge amount of firecracker when pollution levels are like this. Beijing will not allow you to burst firecrackers at a level of pollution that we're experiencing in Delhi right now. So certainly we need now both regulatory action as well as public awareness action to come together so that we can really control the quantum of crackers that we are bursting. At one level, you have to use licensing policy to restrict sales. On the other hand, you can also promote community-based events so that each and every household does not have to burst firecrackers.
Ms. Roy Chaudhary, I also want to ask you this now, because we'll come to solutions. But first, tell us, give us, highlight all of the health hazards that's caused because of air pollution.
There are two kinds of health impacts that we are looking at. One, the immediate impact. So when you are in that kind of a smoke chamber, those who are already suffering from heart ailments, respiratory problems, asthma, their conditions worsen. And as a result of that, evidence shows that emergency hospital admission related to these diseases shoot up during Diwali. On the other hand, the longer term, the exposure that happens, which is that just not along Diwali and plus the overall air pollution situation, the longer term impact is more toxic ailments like the cancer. So we have to keep in mind that around the year pollution levels are already so high that it leaves no room for us to add more pollution during Diwali.
Tell us this now. We know that the AAP government came out with, the odd even scheme in Delhi, which did not work. Now, of course, they're looking at setting up air purifiers. There was also a high-level meeting that was called by Manish Sisodia this afternoon. Do you think it's too little, too late?
We are certainly very late because this year we had really a lot of expectation that the government has got a lead time of a year to be fully prepared with short, medium-term measures as well as emergency action. But we are already into winter and we have just about got some announcements. First, a purifier, that's certainly not going to work. But today they have given a set of measures. But keep in mind when we look at that list, some of the key pollution sources like vehicles and the power plant, the coal-based power plant in Delhi, are not even on the list. And also now we have to say that it is not just enough to announce measures, it has to be proven and tested based on the air quality that we are going to see this winter. We cannot afford to have the pollution peaks that we've already seen on Diwali night and also the pollution peaks that we've seen last year. So now we need action that is going to make a difference.
There's also talk that, perhaps banning firecrackers could be a solution. What is your stand on that?
We certainly need a policy on firecrackers now. And it is just not about Diwali. Huge amount of firecrackers are burst throughout the winter on social events as well. So which means that when you have air quality that does not allow you to add more pollution incrementally, we should not allow firecrackers during those days when you have absolute smog in the city. So, but we now know that, you really have to find different ways of addressing it. If the outright ban is not feasible immediately, then you start restricting sales through licensing policy. And at the same time, you can also adopt some of the practices that we have seen in other parts of the world where they discourage household level bursting of cracker, but promote community-based, state-sponsored events where people can go and watch. But even then, you will have to keep control over the quantum of firecracker and type of firecracker that you are going to be using. So clearly, we have to come up now with a roadmap. The discussion on Diwali pollution cannot just become a one-day discussion every year like the ritual itself.
While talking about roadmaps, of course, very quickly tell us what are the long-term solutions to this? What should the government do?
So government will have to very quickly first look at regulate chemical composition in the firecrackers themselves, use licensing policy to restrict sales and monitor that. They have to come up with statutory warning on the firecracker, do a lot of public outreach, and at the same time, they have to use public awareness campaign to ensure that people really say no to cracker. But at the end of the day, the roadmap has to ensure that the quantum of firecracker is coming down and go more towards community-based firecrackers, very controlled kind of events, which is kind of done in a very restricted manner, which people can watch. So as a result, the overall quantum of firecrackers will have to come down, and ultimately it has to be phased out, but that will really require strong public support. But if people understand that firecrackers is causing harm to their children and compromising their health and to everyone, then they have to support hard decisions.
All right, Mr. Roy Chaudhary, thank you so much for joining us here on Magic Bricks. Now, let's also listen in to residents of Mumbai and, listen in to what they think about rising air pollution.
It should be 100% banned because I understand that it is a religion which people are following, but it should be done in such a safety precaution wherein the others are not damaged and the environment is not polluted.
Comparatively, I think I have seen this year basically. लोग थोड़ा कम फटाके इस टाइम पे फोड़ा है लोगों ने. दैट इज आई थिंक गुड थिंग.
कहीं अगर उसका 60 साल का उम्र होगा तो उसको तकलीफ होगा ना. कहीं अचानक उसका सामने फट गया तो उसका कान में दर्द होगा. मैं बोलता हूँ उसको बैन करनी चाहिए.
It's not advisable to ban it, but it should be controlled like it's in the other countries outside.
बैन करना चाहिए, सिंपल सी बात है. पटाखों से बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम होता है, उससे जो वायु प्रदूषण बहुत होता है. इसके लिए पटाखा बैन कर दे तो बेटर है.
लास्ट 2 डेज से देख रहा हूँ कि हवा में मतलब शुद्ध हवा कुछ दिख ही नहीं रहा है. पूरा काला काला धूल ही दिख रहा है कि इसकी वजह से पूरा ब्रीथ के लिए भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. इसकी वजह से पूरा बंद ही करना चाहिए.
जितना जैसे बॉम्बे में पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रहा है उस हिसाब से दिवाली में इस साल पोल्यूशन भी बढ़ रहा है. तो पटाखों के अगर बैन करेंगे तो बहुत सारा इफेक्ट गिरेगा.
But the bigger question is, should firecrackers be banned? Let's also listen in to the opinion of firecracker sellers on this issue.
I think any celebration in this world cannot be celebrated without sound. But I appeal to the people now, see Diwali is over, but at least for the next year, that we should make less noise and we should follow the rules and regulation. Before 10 o'clock you have to light. Those whole things we have to follow.
Moving on to the city of Bengaluru now, 2 more lakes dying a slow death in Bengaluru. Vengaya and Battarahalli lakes in K.R.Puram, once tourist attractions, are now rapidly becoming cesspools. Untreated sewage water from residential areas of K.R.Puram and Janta Colony have been flowing into these lakes for some time now. The residents of Janta Colony are accusing officials of not repairing the sewage lines despite repeated complaints. My colleague Shrija gets us a ground report.
After Bellandur and Vartu, 2 more lakes are on the verge of extinction. Venkayana and Batrahalli lakes in K.R.Puram have been converted into cesspools. I'm right now standing at Venkayana lake. This particular lake, which was once a hotspot for tourists and local residents, unfortunately, it has been polluted with garbage and also untreated sewage water that has been flowing into this particular lake from residential areas like K.R.Puram and Ramurthy Nagar. In fact, the stench emanating from this particular lake has kept the visitors away. The water in the lake has become a breeding ground for mosquitoes. When Magic Bricks now spoke to a corporator of this particular area, Purnima Srinivas, we are told that the BWSSB officials have not heeded to a request to repair the sewage connections in this particular area. In fact, she told us that it was the responsibility of the Lake Development Authority and BWSSB to clean up this lake. If the sewage water that is flowing into this particular lake is diverted, then this lake can be saved and restored back to its glory. In Bengaluru, Shrija for Magic Bricks now.
I regularly come to this park before in my childhood days, but nowadays I am not able to come here regularly because of this nasty smell, and even my parents don't allow because it might cause health issues because of these polluted lake water, and for boating purpose also it's not good. Actually it was very beautiful park. Nowadays they are spoiling this park, so our beloved MLA Baiti Basuraj, he is making clean of this park, so he will make it sure. And because of these dirty places, many diseases are attacking like dengue, malaria.
All untreated water is entering to the lake. So we have met a BWSSB chairman, chief engineer. We have submitted a letter stating that the treatment plant beside this lake, what we have, it is a 20 MLD treatment plant where it is not sufficient for today's Kayarpuram population. So the treatment plant capacity has to be increased, where the government is under process for that work. It is delaying. So it is not where like corporators work. It is in hands of government, state government. They have to take care. But we have moved on that direction and we have submitted a letter.
Now, after the setback from the NGT, which stayed the construction of the steel flyover in Bengaluru, the Karnataka government is treading cautiously. When asked about the future course of action on the matter, Bengaluru Development Minister KJ George said that everything now depends on the court's judgment. George was speaking on the sidelines of the Karnataka Formation Day, which is also known as Rajotsava Day, marking the 60th anniversary of the state's formation.
See, already the matter is before the national tribunal. Our judgment matter.
Let's also take a look at what's making news in your city. In Mumbai, around 10 shops in Virar East were gutted in a fire allegedly caused by firecrackers at 5 a.m. on Monday. Although no casualties were reported, 10 fire engines of the Vasai Virar Fire Brigade were deployed. The shops stocking garments and plastics lost all their stock to the fire. In Ahmedabad, 29 fire-related incidents have been reported in the city of Ahmedabad during this festive season. 742 cases of injuries and health complications were also reported in the state, according to Gujarat Emergency Management and Research Institute reports. This includes 9 cases of burns, 64 cases of respiratory complications, 31 heart-related issues, and 25 cases of unconsciousness in the past 2 days. And in Mandya, the water level at the Krishna Raja Sagar or KRS reservoir has fallen to 76.9 feet against a capacity of 124.8 feet. According to the Karnataka Irrigation Department, Bengaluru, Mandya and Mysuru could be staring at a drinking water crisis if the level falls below 74 feet. Authorities said only 1.10 thousand million cubic feet of water from the reservoir can be used for drinking and irrigation purposes. Now, the remaining water constitutes dead storage, utilizing which could be hazardous from the point of view of the reservoir's safety. The bleak prospects have left farmers distressed. Meanwhile, in a shocking incident in the city of Mumbai, a 28-year-old woman was gang raped in the Shamnagar slum area in Andheri. The incident took place between 10 and 11:30 p.m. on Monday night. 7 people have been arrested so far by Amboli police station. Apparently, the accused were tracking the victim's movements for some days. The victim and her husband were looking for a house in the area with the help of one lady. In the night, they stayed back at the lady's house. Afterwards, 8 persons from the same area raped that woman.
Administration has to look into all these matters very seriously. They have to narrow the litigation part. They should be accused, should be sentenced in a very short time, and there should be some very, very hard punishment so that this kind of criminals, they just become afraid of doing all this nuisance.
4 लोगों ने रेप किया है, उसमें चारों को पकड़ लिया गया है और बाकी लोगों ने उनको मदद करी है, उनको भी अरेस्ट कर लिया है। ऐसे कुल मिलाकर 8 एक्यूज है, पूरे के पूरे एक्यूज हम लोगों ने अटक कर लिया। 7 लोगों का रिमांड ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, 8वें को अभी कल पेश किया जाएगा।
Now, to give us more details on this case, Herman Gomes joins us on the phone line. Herman, tell us, what are you picking up? 8 people arrested so far?
8 people have been arrested by the Amboli police station and they have been sent to police custody till the 4th of November. They have been charged under section 376, 341, 452, 504 as well as 506. Remember, this incident took place between 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. last night. The victim, meanwhile, is currently recuperating at the hospital. 8 people have been arrested. They had been tracking her movements. She had come to that area along with her husband to try and find a rented place to live in. And she was accompanied by another lady where she decided to spend the night. That is exactly where she was dragged out of the house and raped by these 8 people. They have been arrested so far, and the latest is that they have been sent to police custody till the 4th of November.
So, give us some more details about the case. What exactly happened on Monday night?
Well, what we know, what we are picking up from Mumbai police sources is that the lady, along with her husband, had visited the area in Shamnagar where they were trying to find a spot to live in, a rented place precisely, and they were accompanied by another lady. And since it was late in the night, she decided to spend the night along with her husband at that very place. And it is between 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. when the accused had noticed her movements previously when she had also come to find a place in the area that they decided to commit the gruesome crime. The Amboli police station, meanwhile, after the complaint was lodged, swiftly acted and they picked up 8 people who were arrested on various sections, as I mentioned earlier, section 376, 341. And remember, these are some stringent sections that we are currently looking at. So they have been arrested, they have been sent to police custody till the 4th of November. And from here on, the Mumbai police who have arrested them are clearly looking as to what was the time frame between which they had been tracking her movements so closely.
Many thanks for joining us here on Magic Bricks. Now, moving on now, in a bid to make commuting safer for Mumbaikars, Maharashtra Traffic Police has approved the budget for CCTV cameras, which will be installed on roads. Initially, 4 locations across the city of Mumbai have been shortlisted, which will come under CCTV watch. This includes the Western Express Highway, Eastern Express Highway, Sea Link and Marine Drive. Now, talking about Diwali, Diwali is also that time of the year when you reclaim your personal space. If you wish to move away from the regular orange and bling and give a more classic, understated setup to your home, then you need to watch the Trending Interiors, where Suesha Sawant catches up with the editor-in-chief of Good Homes. Take a look.
Welcome to the Trending Interiors. I'm Suesha Sawant. This festive season, if you want to break away from the regular look and design your space in a classic way, then this story is for you. I'm at Fusion Access and Portside Cafe, and joining me is the editor-in-chief of Good Homes, Ronita Italia Dhanu, who's busy shooting her style story for the Diwali edition. She tells us how we can strike the perfect balance between loud and understated and make it look beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us, Ronita. And I must say, it looks beautiful. But basically, you're trying to suggest that this Diwali one should go understated and classic, right?
We tend to lean towards the loud and, the very, very, very colorful. Now, as much as I love color, what we're showing you this time around is that, there is a lot to be said for understated elegance, for something that doesn't shout and isn't in your face. If you look at this table here, we've picked out a few things, but they're very, very strong. They make a very, very strong statement. Light fitting here, it's lower than normal. The finish is distressed, but what actually catches your eye is the whole picture. You're not zeroing on any one element as such, but you're looking at these, these pretty crystals catching the light. You're looking at these very lovely fluid lines. If you see also what I've got here on this table, we've got a cluster of candle stands, very strong. So we're not trying to overpower the setting. we're keeping it open, we're keeping it informal. So we're staying away from the loud oranges and purples. What we've got here is a lovely old rose pink for you in combination with the gold. It's doing something very, very magical, very, very distinctive, very, very elegant. Use your crystal, but highlight it with a few pieces that aren't so ornate, because that's what brings out, you know, the dressiness of the other elements. I mean, when you have a neutral backdrop, that's when your gold will glow. You've also got these stunning stools. Again, it's a large piece to be gold, but if you notice, it's a lovely matte. You know, the structure, the form itself speaks volumes. It's different. It's standing out from the otherwise, you know, straight lines. These candles, they're white. There's nothing that is, you know, loud or you know, shouting about them.
All right, Radhika, thank you so much for having us here.
And that's a wrap on the news on Magic Bricks Now. Stay with Magic Bricks Now for more news and updates.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.